Ooh, look alive, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans around the world. We are the Millie Goats. It is a special Monday night episode where you were just seeing me. Um, I think my audio is coming in okay. If anybody's watching, I couldn't hear my intro there, so that was a little weird. So if the audio is coming in, somebody let me know. Anyways, it's episode 91. It's just me. The other boys had some other stuff. We took last night off. Um, we took that off. Obviously because of the New Year's Eve, but that does not mean there was a lot of football. It is Happy New Year to everybody watching, listening on the podcast, the stream. Currently, right now, it is January 1st. Happy National Hangover Day or Bloody Mary Day for obvious reasons. Um, Episode 91 is a big one for us, and the reason this is because we play DraftKings. We do showdowns, DFS lineups, and we got a big one. Uh, Maybe not as big to some, but for us, it was huge. It was our first NFL showdown win for one of us. So we are glad to have that rolling. That was a pretty cool moment. Currently, right now, we had you know obviously the first college football playoff game was going on today, as well as three other bowl games. Um, but I'll tell you what right now. The Michigan Alabama game was, I mean, obviously it was overtime, so people were calling it thrilling, which it was, just because it was an overtime game. But those, I mean, Alabama just said basically during that game that they were like, I don't know that we're gonna be I don't know we're gonna be throwing the ball much here. And so it definitely ended in controversy with that last play in overtime. I mean, it started off obviously with Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh not giving any handshakes, not trading any pleasantries there. I don't know if that had anything to do with the whole iPad thing or whatever, but Um, so we had some drama for sure. And the game, I mean, the game itself was fun to watch. I mean, you had special teams blunders by Michigan to start, and it just seems I'm not an SEC. I mean, I guess some people would call me an SEC hater. I'm not an SEC hater. Well, I guess I kind of am. I'm like a troll. If you've ever followed us on Twitter, which I'm going to show some screens here in a minute, that might light your fire a little bit. Um, but yeah, that game, it just it didn't look as though, um, that either one of those teams played well enough to warrant FSU being out, at least in my opinion. Now, look, I'm just a dude that has a microphone, that loves watching ball and loves watching sports. Um, and we look, at least for me, look for it through a different lens. Just because I'm not a big Power 5 school, obviously, you can see behind me, I'm not a big Power 5 school dude. I look at it kinda holistically, I guess I would tell people, um, is the fact that, uh, I don't have any allegiance to the Big Ten or the SEC. I'm an App State guy, so, like, I'm looking at all this, watching this whole playoff thing go down, and I just start going down into rabbit holes, and you watch Alabama get pushed in there over an FSU school, and then now it becomes a SEC versus FSU debate, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, look, man, again, this has probably been talked ad nauseum that you've listened to, that FSU got hosed and it looked like it was some sort of collusion or whatever, bias by the SEC. And I have a bunch of numbers later that we'll get a little more into detail with, but right now we've got Texas and Washington going. Um, and this game right here has been everything that we thought both of these playoff games would be, right? I mean, we've got Michael Penix out there, and I like I just he to me would be a better number 1 overall pick than, uh, Caleb Williams. Now that's just my opinion. So, but some of these deep balls that he's been throwing during this game have been phenomenal. I mean, you got Bevo on the sideline, Sarkisian with his tight white pants on, that, Kalen DeBoer, who I don't know if you saw his record, was absolutely phenomenal as like a head coach. He's like 111 and 9 or something. So we've got them kind of figuring out or trying to figure out who's going to play Michigan. And I will tell you this about Michigan. Michigan has got speed everywhere on defense that was shocking to me when you're watching Alabama. So Michigan is not going to be scared of the speed and the skill of Washington's wide receivers. So, and then on the Texas side of the ball, like Tex on our show is a big Texas Hook'em fans. So he's watching this, I'm sure, right now. Probably biting his nails. But they both look good. I mean, I've got the game on down here below me. It's not like I'm gonna put it up on the screen, get us kicked out of Rumble and YouTube and all that stuff. But I will, if anybody's watching, just give me a heads up if you can hear me. Like I said, my sound was messing up earlier, so hopefully that's not a problem on the audio. But anyways, so we've got those 2 games on. We'll be checking in. There's just a few minutes left in the 3rd quarter in the Washington game. I mean, the difference between these offenses and the ones we just watched. I mean, people would call that Alabama game and Michigan game a defensive struggle, if you will. Not defensive struggle, but a clinic and a thriller and all that stuff. And I'm just sitting there watching. I'm like, these 2 quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy made more throws than Jalen Milroe, and Jalen Milroe threw for like 100 yards. So, I mean, he's a great athlete, uh, great football talent, but Alabama made the decision. Uh, that last play, I mean, it looked like it was supposed to be either an RPO or a counter with a pulling guard from the right side. The snap was late and threw off the timing, and it looked like he just ran basically a quarterback ISO right into the back of his center. So whatever. But we had a week 17 in NFL. We're going to talk through some of this stuff as this game's going on, and we'll chime in on the Washington game. They have the ball right now, 2nd and 10 on their own, or on Texas's 36. So Penix probably going to drop an absolute moon ball down onto somebody. So, but we had NFL Week 17. We had 3 showdowns that we went to, which were Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And within all of this, you get the New Year's Eve jokes, which are just some of my favorite. Like when you're ending work on a Friday or whatever before the new year, you always are obligated to tell people, "Hey, I'll see you next year," or take the rest of the year off. And I can't tell you how many times I said that joke to my patients as they were leaving. I'd say, "Hey, you know what? You worked hard. Take the rest of the year off." Now, tomorrow, when you go back to work, you're going to have to say, "I haven't worked this hard all year," or "This is the hardest I've worked all year." You have to say that. It is absolutely in your repertoire that you must say. So everybody who's listening to this or watching this live, just use the old, "Hey, I haven't worked this hard all year." So, so within the within all this, the big DraftKings news, and I've got a screen I'm going to put up here in a minute. Like I said, we play DraftKings. And if you don't play DraftKings, it's daily fantasy football. So, and you build these lineups, and you basically plenty of contests you can enter into, and you build the lineups, put them in there, and you try to win these big prize pools, basically. Which is really hard to do because usually the big ones with the big money, the $1 million one they throw all over the TV and the ads and the revenue and NFL shows and all that stuff, is the $1 million prize, hence the name Millie Goats. And there's hundreds of thousands of people that are in these contests. And for the first time ever, one of us won a showdown, and it happened to be that it was me. It was the Saturday night, Detroit and Dallas, GPP, 100K first down, $1, 20 max entry. And I split it, I don't know how many ways, 10 or 15 ways. And I ended up getting first place, tied for first place out of 119,000 people. And I was close on the Thursday night game between Cleveland and New York too, the Jets and hey, Cleveland's playing, you play Joe Flacco. That's rule number 1. Commercial break in the game, Washington, Texas. But you're the Browns are playing, you're playing Joe Flacco and you're playing David Njoku. But the Saturday night game, I mean, I've been all over these dad blame showdowns for I can't tell you how long, where I've just been one player, one play off, bamboozled so many times. And I'll tell you this, if you never played a DraftKings showdown, it is nothing is more fun than one of our lineups, because we all hand build lineups. We're old school in DraftKings. We don't have the optimizers and the computers and the formulas and the subscribe to our channel to get our secret computer thing. It is basically we build all these lineups by ourselves. And then if one of us gets one that's humming or up there near the top, we all buy in. And that's what the group chat does. It goes off whenever that happens. Um, and it's just so much fun to watch a game like that. Like I was sitting there in my recliner watching Dallas and Detroit. And I remember texting the group like, "Hey, we need Laporta to get hot here." And I'll be dad blamed if bam, 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 that last drive for Detroit where they were going to tie. It was Laporta all the way down the field. And then you get to the goal line, and Amon-Ra St. Brown scores, and you're like, "You have got to be kidding me." Like 20 seconds left. I'm about to win this whole thing. And Amon-Ra St. Brown scored. Well, guess what? Didn't matter. So I'm gonna put the screen up of my winning lineup from Saturday night when I kind of give you an idea of what I did here. I basically, and you can see how much I won, right? And there's 119,000 people. And so it got split quite. The top prize like 5 grand. But you can see right here, this was the winning lineup. Boom, right there. CeeDee Lamb at the captain spot. Then I stacked him with Dak and Brandon Cooks and the kicker, Brandon Aubrey. So I went 4 Cowboys. I faded the running backs hard just because I'm like, Tony Pollard's been abysmal for the past few weeks, anyways. Um, uh, he just can't seem to find the end zone. And I think Dowdle was out, so they really didn't have anybody else but Lipke and Deuce Vaughn for the Cowboys. And then on the other side, I was like, people are going to be playing the wheels off of Jahmyr Gibbs. I knew that, or David Montgomery. I was like, I think this game is going to be high scoring, you know. Um, and so I ended up just throwing back like, and it wasn't. It was 2019, but uh, I got Jamison Williams, who had 2 big plays, and then Laporta just got the volume. So it ended up being like I think Dak's going to lean on their passing game, and I think Detroit's going to have to play catch up. And when you think like that, boom, there you go. That's the winning lineup. CeeDee Lamb, a captain, Prescott, Laporta, Cooks, Aubrey, Jamison Williams. And CeeDee Lamb went off. He had 227 yards receiving. I mean, that's just stupid. He was only, 1 out of 5 line was put in the captain. But, I mean, it was just stupid. So, and then those you just tuning in and listening, you could see that this was the winning lineup from the right there from the showdown for Detroit. It was absolutely phenomenal. I yelled so loud whenever the game was over, and I just want to thank Mike McCarthy for continuing to throw the football, and the refs for absolutely screwing that game. And I just wanted the game to end, basically, because I knew if any more points were going to occur, that it was likely going to cost me another showdown win. So that's the over under was 53 in this game, and then Dallas was favored by 6. So neither one of those hit. It was anticipated to be a high scoring game. So, but anyways, I was pretty proud of the of the, of the showdown win. I mean, yeah, it's only like $700, but let me tell you what, that was the best $700 of all time. So, anyways, the other ones were, you had a Thursday night showdown um that was basically Cleveland getting out to a massive lead. And the over-under on that game was 34. And that thing was eclipsed by like the first quarter because Joe Flacco and crew were going absolutely bananas. And Njoku, man, they finally figured out how to use David Njoku, which, I mean, come on. But so that one I was close on that one again. I think I was 6 points off of the Thursday night showdown. And then the Sunday night showdown, I almost had that one too. I think it was like 4 or 5 points. I think I've got that. Hold on, let me pull that one up. I've got that screen too, where you can see my Sunday night lineup, which I think was, let me see if I can find it here. Maybe it was this one here. I think this is it. Yeah, there you go. So you could see I was less than 7 points off there. Oh, here you go. Let me get that to the stage. You could say I was less than 7 points off. I'm right there on the left over here. It says Jordan Love, Jefferson killed, Chandler killed me. I played too much Chandler in that one, but this dude down here, these two were kind of a little bit they were a little better plays. But close to winning that thing again. You know what I mean? And that's how close it is. Like you have got to almost be perfect in those. But Jaden Reed went off and then he got hurt. So, but anyways, so these showdowns, I've kind of determined that I am way better at the showdowns than I am at the um what's the word, the main slates. And I'm going to show you a main slate line. I can't figure out if somebody. I'm going to show you the winning lineup here from the main slate, and this thing, I think it was right here. Yeah, here it is. Let me get that pulled up. I'm just looking at it right here. There you go. Wait a minute, what happened there? There it goes. Okay. So this was the winning lineup, DraftKings wise, from I think the Colts were the defense, but that whatever. This was the winning lineup. Tyrod Taylor, what a sharp play that was. How do we not miss Tyrod Taylor's like a dude who, gets out in the group project and like presents really well and then realizes like, oh no, like I can't be doing this all the time. People are he's like the perfect backup quarterback. Like he does just enough where you're like, wow, that guy's really talented to a certain degree with the mobility, but we should have known. We should have known Tyrod was going to be the guy. You know what I mean? Based off of that game script, we expected them to be behind. But he was a dude that was a really good play. And then Pacheco and Achane, Devontae Adams out of nowhere. Didn't expect that. DJ Moore kind of expected, and Darius Slayton, Tyrod Taylor likes some Darius Slayton there. Evan Ingram had a nice game with Beathard, and we always say back up in young quarterbacks, best friend is a tight end. And then you had George Pickens with another monster game. George Pickens has just been, I could see why he was mad, why he wasn't getting the ball, because he's a freak show every time he gets the ball. Anyways, so you got, that's the main slate stuff. So that's, I mean, I have not been very good at those. I'm more of a showdown guy for sure. But anyways, there you go. So we've got Texas driving now, but they're down 34-21. I guess going into the fourth. Oh, ball's out right there. He get it back? No, he didn't. Oh no. Oh no. Washington just stripped that football. Holy cow. Uh-oh. Texas rolling over. Texas rolling over right now. Somebody get out the the lucky cowboy boots or something. Holy cow. Tell you this right now. Texas loses this game. Are they back? I don't know. I wouldn't say they're back. How could they be back? Huh. So they're going to review that, I'm sure. But anyways, all right, let's move into this is going to be a quicker show. It's just me right here. Um but we talked about the DraftKings win. That was big. That was a big one. That's a fun win because again, they're so hard to win. Um we talked a little bit about that. I got more stuff on the college football playoff here in a little bit. Um but NFL week 17. We already talked about Cleveland and New York. I mean, basically what you're going to want to do is if you have I mean, Joe Flacco, dude, he was sitting on the sideline falling asleep in that game. Like he's I think he's the same he might be a year or 2 older than me, and I was just sitting there watching, I'm like, "This dude is still out there playing freaking football, absolutely getting it." Um, and, we actually played against him in the I'm sure you've heard the story if you've listened to our show. Um, we played against him in the 2007 national title game, when he was at Delaware. He transferred from Pitt. Um, so let me get this other screen pulled up here. There we go. We'll just run through some of these scores. I mean, I got notes from each one of them, but just a quick review. Um, so yeah, Jets. I mean, Browns. Look, between the Browns, obviously the Ravens are the 1 seed, the Niners are the 1 seed. Boom! Shout out my Niners in your faces, everybody. Um, but basically, the there's a big debate whether it's the Bills or the Browns, the teams you don't want to see from the AFC. And if I was in the AFC, if I look, let me put my AFC Rob Lowe hat on. I would not want to play the Cleveland Browns right now. Let me tell you that. So they seem to have things figured out right here. Joe Flacco is perfect for that offense where it's just get the ball out. I mean, Amari Cooper didn't even play; they hung 37. So, I mean, their defense is really good. But not so good on the road. But I mean, they got players everywhere. They got a couple of DBs that are just freaking studs. I'll tell you that right now. Um, but they definitely the Bills. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of the Bills. Other than they've got the best punter in the league, the secret weapon for sure. Um, but the Bills, they keep winning games and uh they keep they keep the sausage dip streak alive. I don't know if everybody knows this, but we've been making sausage dip every week almost. I think I missed 1 week, but we went up there not too long ago to go watch a game up in Buffalo. Made a sausage dip, and since then we've kind of just said that that's the reason they're winning. So each week more people make the sausage dip. So if you're Bills Mafia listening or watching to this, listening to this or watching, hey, make the sausage dip. Let's go. Oh no. Michael Penix throwing some stuff down again. Here we go. Golly, he throws a good deep ball. So yeah, Cleveland, there you go. And then Cowboys, obviously the controversial call, but the big thing in this game was Dan Campbell, certified horseshoe dipper Dan up in there with his dip teeth. That was the one thing I picked out from this game. And Jahmyr Gibbs looks like he's going to be the next CMC. It's always must see TV with the Cowboys. I mean, they're 11-5, but 8-0 at home, so they're in good space to get the 2 seed, provided they don't. It'd be a real shame if they laid an egg against the Commanders. But they their red zone offense is atrocious, and their late game management is atrocious. That is what is going to kill. That's why they keep losing these games hilariously. CD went absolutely bananas, and then obviously the refs. You've heard this. Oh, Washington game, Texas. We got a flea flicker. Penix just threw it away. Um, But anyways, so the Cowboys seem to be, because the Eagles stink, seem to be in the driver's seat. So good for you, Cowboys. Next game up was my 49ers. I'm a 49ers fan. Have been my entire life. The 49ers have clinched the 1 seed. Thank you to the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray and the Eagles for being completely inept on um on on uh on defense, basically. So Purdy was this was a very good football game for Purdy. I mean, they were just balanced. Um Purdy didn't have to do too much, but when he did have to do a lot, he made 2 really good throws. One down the sideline to Ayuk, and then another one where you scramble around. CMC got hurt, and then there was a weird moment in this game where there was a DB that collapsed for Washington. That was really weird. I can't remember what his name is. It was late in the game, but he seemed to be okay from everything I've seen. It was almost like you hate to say it, like a Hamlin issue. He was walking along, also just collapsed. So that was really weird. The 49ers have 4 guys have now gone over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Purdy is the 49ers all-time single season passing record holder. He passed Jeff Garcia. And the 49ers actually clinched the 1 seed before the Ravens did because their game ended first. So first one to clinch was the 49ers. So people are saying just because the Ravens beat the 49ers, they're better. I don't believe that. And this is the 10th time the Niners have been a 1 seed. That's the most all time. So I still think it's up to Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson. So to be the MVP, and CMC, obviously. But they're probably going to try to throw Dak back in there. I don't know. Anyway, so next game would be J-Vi's Bills. Sausage Dip is 6-0. The Bills win 27-21. Rasul Douglas was phenomenal. The Bills defense was phenomenal. But the real story, I think the Bills defense had like 5 turnovers or something and a pick 6. So shout out Fantasy Football Championships if you started the Bills D, which I did in like 2 leagues. Good for me. Sam Martin, there's never been a record, I think, recorded where a punter had all 6 of his punts down inside the 20. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was some sort of record. So shout out to Sam Martin, the weapon, for absolutely putting on a punting clinic out there. And Josh Allen, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't. He they're winning games, but it's not because of him, which is really weird. But maybe that's the secret sauce. I don't know. Maybe Joe Brady's just like, dude, if we just don't turn the ball over, we have more talent, we're going to win the games. Keep our defense off the field. So that'll make my mom happy, who's a noted Bills fan. So next game, Bears. The Bear. This is a snow game. They beat the Falcons 37-17. This is a snow game. I didn't even know snow was in the forecast here, folks. Had no idea. But this was a sweet snow game out of nowhere. Wish I'd have known that. I should have paid attention to the weather more. But the Bears are basically right back where they were last year. Everybody's like, Justin Fields finally, like, do we not remember that Justin Fields did the same thing last year where he went nuclear like the last 6 games of the year? And everybody's like, oh, here he comes. He's developing. Well, now they're right back there, and they have no idea what they're going to do with the first pick because the Panthers stink. But if I were them, I would definitely trade that pick for more if you're going to keep Justin Fields. I don't know. And Atlanta apparently had a running back that could go the distance with Tyler Algier because he had a huge play in this game. So they drafted Bijan Robinson, and apparently he either doesn't know the playbook or Arthur Smith just doesn't like him. He's not big enough. Arthur Smith was a Tennessee guy, so he's used to Derrick Henry. He's like, I'm going to put Bijan in. And then he looks out there and he's like, why is that running back not 6'3", 240 pounds? Let's get Algier back out there. That feels more comfortable. So who knows what he's doing. Las Vegas and Indianapolis. Devontae Adams had 40 fantasy points. That's just ridiculous. I think the Raiders got eliminated. And Gardner Minshew and Shane Steichen keep leading the Colts. The AFC South is a complete there's 3 teams that are 9-7, and then there's the Titans, but I have no idea who I would pick out of those 3 teams. You'd wanna say who's the best quarterback would be CJ Stroud, but who's got the most moxie? It would be Gardner Minshew. Who's supposed to be the best would be the Jaguars. So Colts keep winning. I don't really know how, but good for them. The Rams clinched, but they did in Rams fashion where they wanted Matt Stafford to always play close games. And obviously, the rumors going around the NFL's rigged because they want Matt Stafford in Detroit. So we'll see what happens with that. For the Lions home playoff game. Like if you're gonna do the old Pat McAfee hands, this, then that, da 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 da, you know, whatever. Um, so and again, Tyrod is he's making it really hard on Tommy DeVito for one and for Daniel Jones because he keeps coming out there and throwing for like 200 or 300 yards. But he's a guy's like, I'm gonna play well enough to keep playing, but I don't want to be the starter. So but he likes Darius Slayton. So Arizona and Philly, everybody and their mother. So there was 35-31 Cardinals win late. Everybody and their mother knew that Kyler Murray was going to go off in this game. Like that was a foregone conclusion. And he basically did just that. And so did James Conner. I mean, the Eagles, like, they went down there and took the lead, kicked a field goal with like, I don't know how many seconds or how many minutes remaining, less than 2 minutes, I think. And then the Cardinals went right down the field. Like you knew if the Cardinals got the ball back, the game was over. It was. The Eagles fans are so mad. I have a friend who's an Eagles fan. Um, he's cussing up a storm in the text messages. Like it's just they went from like being the hottest thing on planet Earth to like completely in shambles. It was phenomenal. So, but anyways, they're back to we're gonna put the dog mask back on, I think. So but they can't stop anybody. They're in trouble. I'm not going to make any predictions, but if they were in the playoffs right now and you were like they have to win a road game, you'd be like, how? How are they going to stop anybody? New Orleans beats Tampa Bay, so I think Tampa Bay still is going to make the playoffs. Jawan Johnson's the key for the Baker was terrible in the beginning of that game. So, but Jawan Johnson is 100% the key to that game. To the Saints. Since he's been back, they've been putting up scores, putting up points. They win 23-13. And old Taysom Hill still doing his thing, just wrecking everybody's fantasy season. Um, but I don't they're both 8-8, but I think the Bucks have a better chance to make it. Um, good for them. Carolina Jacksonville 26 nothing. This was every all the sharp betters, quote unquote, were picking the Panthers because the Jaguars had CJ Beathard, and he goes out there and basically just throws it to Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne 30 times. Etienne went off. But the big thing was old David Tepper just throwing drinks at everybody from the press box. I saw the video. I didn't really watch the whole thing because I didn't really care. But people are all mad about it. Is there a quarterback controversy in Jacksonville? That's really the question. I mean, 26 nothing victory. Is Trevor Lawrence not a good leader? Or do the guys not play for Trevor Lawrence? That's a question you have to ask yourself. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just that would be a question that somebody else would say. Uh, and then you had Houston and Tennessee. Um, I I didn't watch a second of this game. Usually, I watch a lot of games on Sunday. I didn't watch this game. It's just there. I only had 6 screens available, and it just didn't make the cut. Just because I thought it was going to be terrible. Will Levis was terrible, and it was terrible. Uh, kudos to big play. Quinn Ewers is out there. I mean, these quarterbacks in this Texas Washington game are just, I mean, just putting on a display. You go from watching a game like Alabama and Michigan to watching Texas and Washington, and you're just like, wow. Do the defenses stink? I mean, I think Washington's defense is pretty bad, um, relatively speaking. But these quarterbacks, I mean, they're putting on a clinic out here. But yeah, Texas Titans, who cares? CJ Stroud's back. Uh, and then you had oh, there it is. Dolphins, and did I skip the Dolphins in the? Oh, I did. Yeah, 50. Golly, the Ravens murdered the Dolphins. Like they're the league's darling right now. Everybody's handing the flowers over to Lamar. I mean, he had a good game. He had a good game. Um, the Dolphins they're just frauds. I mean, there's no way you can say they're not frauds anymore. I mean, you got and then they got one of their one of their linemen got hurt, Bradley Chubb on the defense. Like now they're down two of their best pass rushers. So I mean, I don't know. They fantasy wise too. Chain was good, but that was about it. So, but the Ravens, if you played the Ravens in DraftKings, if you bought into Lamar, you had a good day. And Likely and Zay Flowers and Justice Hill, like those dudes went off. I mean, I don't know if he's the MVP. People are going to say he's the MVP. That's not up for me to decide. I don't really care anymore. MVP debate is kind of dumb because it's such a team sport. Like, who's to say? I mean, if he does his job the way he's supposed to do it, then everybody else operates around him pretty well too. So, but if somebody else doesn't do their job, it affects his job. So it's just, I don't know. The MVP is ridiculous. Um, Steelers and Seahawks. Mason Rudolph is like the perfect interim step in quarterback face. Like kind of good looking, but not good looking enough. Kind of resembles Big Ben physique wise, but doesn't really move and isn't as strong as Big Ben. So he's like the Steelers have a lot of talent. I mean, they got two receivers and a tight end that can play and two running backs that can really play. And so it's just about just get him the ball. Like, don't try to do too much. And apparently Kenny Pickett was mad that he was going to be the backup, and so they made him a scratch. So I don't know if you guys have heard this. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. Have you heard that? Probably about 17,000 times. Oh, big time catch in the Texas game. Woo! Big time catch. 7:23 to go. We're gonna have a 28-34 ball game. I have to get on out of here in a minute here to watch the end of this thing. Chargers, Pete Carroll. I don't know if he was wearing a hat Sunday. I don't know if he bust. I think he's going to save it for this Sunday. He's 3-0 in hat games. I didn't see him in a hat the other day. And I know Gino, if he gets him to the playoff, gets like $1 million bonus. So the Seahawks, I can't remember who they're playing this week, but I mean, we got Saturday football, we got Sunday football. They screwed the FCS championship by putting in a 2 on Sunday. That's a travesty. Anyways, Bengals and Chiefs. Chiefs, good gosh, they needed their kicker to make like 6 kicks to win this game. They can't score. There's Matthew McConaughey on the sideline, dapping everybody up. He's going over, he's getting fired up. But the Chiefs, man, good Lord. What is their deal? Who knows? I don't think they're gonna get a home playoff game, and I mean, it might be Buffalo that they get. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. The Chiefs, they Pacheco is like the only bright spot. Rashee Rice is pretty good, but I don't know. Good for them for winning. They win their division for like the 8th time or whatever it is. Bengals, I mean, they don't have Joe Burrow, so and Jamar Chase he was talking trash before this game. That did not work out well for him. Anyways, and Chargers and Broncos, I mean, if you watch this game, good for you. I had it on. I wasn't really watching. But this felt like a game that should have been a snow game, right? It should have been a snow game, but it wasn't. So, whatever. Way to let us down, Denver. We could have had something great there. Denver wins. They're eliminated. Chargers are eliminated. Chargers are looking for a coach. Whatever. And then the Sunday night game, I kind of talked about the DraftKings aspect, but that was awful. The whole Jaron Hall. I don't know if the Vikings were just that bad. They lost 33-10. Or the Packers were just that good. I mean, the Packers looks like they got some dudes now. Like at receiver. I mean, all the receivers are hurt, so they need to drink more milk or something because they keep all getting chest injuries. So they got too much dogs in their chests. I think that could be a problem. All their chests are getting collapsed in or something. I don't know. But the uh, the Packers, I think they're the 7th seed right now. They might be. The Vikings somehow aren't dead from playoff contention. So, um, so good for them, I guess. I don't know, but the Vikings, I don't know if they're gonna bring Kirk back. They keep playing carousel. Justin Jefferson's frustrated, but I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I mean, it's what even if you make I guess that's a bad thing to say. Like you always want your team to make the playoffs, but anyways. So there you go. That's week 17, at least the notes that I had. Um, but 1 week left. Like I can't believe that this is it. Like we got 1 week of regular season football left. Means we got a 2-game slate on Saturday, which is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And we got no Saturdays for college football left. We got the Sunday game, the FCS, and then we got the Natty on next Monday. So sad. It's really sad, but we are going to get playoff football, so that's good. But yeah, I did want to make one note of the NFL. When you look at the 2 number 1 seeds, one thing that's interesting is the Ravens and the 49ers, have 2 inside linebackers. And another thing was tight ends are very important, but the 2 inside linebackers, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner. Like those positions right there are phenomenal. Like there are those 2 players in that position are phenomenal. Like they got 2 dudes in that position that can cover a lot of ground in the pass game. They can eat up space in the middle, and they can fly to the ball. They can play the mobile quarterbacks if they need to. Like they have so much speed. It's incredible. So that's a big deal. And also when you look at I think the division leaders, people want to say quarterbacks. I started mapping it out. Like the 49ers have Kittle. The Lions have Laporta. The Cowboys have Ferguson. And the Jaguars have Ingram. So those are 4 elite tight ends. No, the NFC South is it Baker? Is it the Bucks? I don't know. They have K Dotton, but so your NFC tight ends that are in the lead, boom. I just named them off. Kittle, Laporta, Ferguson. And then the AFC West, you had Kelsey. AFC North, you have Likely or Ingram. AFC East, you have, if Buffalo wins on Sunday in a must-win, can't-lose game, you would have Kincaid, who's elite. And then the AFC South, you'd have Evan Ingram. So is a good tight end really, is that the key to winning your division? Not the quarterback, but the tight end. If you want the 1 seed, you have to have 2 elite inside linebackers. So I think that's the formula. Get a good tight end and get good linebackers there, and then you'll win your division and maybe get the 1 seed. So, all right. Just some bowl notes, college football. I mean, obviously we talked about the what was I going to say? We talked about the 2 playoff games that have already happened. Michigan wins. Texas and Washington going at it. I'm going to get out of here so I can go watch that game, but I want to get to some of this bowl stuff. I'm just going to put up uh, kind of the record of what I did here in the bowl season, which was pretty good. I mean, picking these games is tough in college football because you never know who's going to play, which is sad. Everybody's like, well, it's an exhibition. I'm like, well, that's what we're going to do. Let's just get rid of them. That's just me. So against the spread, here we were, and I was rolling pretty good until I got to later in the contest. Um, get out of here. Let me get the other one. Whatever. We'll get to the bottom of it. But I was going pretty good until we got into this round here. Oregon State let me down. God, Beavs, dude. This game right here was awful. This game was awful. I mean, talk about all this nonsense. Auburn got smoked. This game was terrible. We'll get into that in a second. Toledo. This is the one that killed me. They lost late. I was like, for sure, the Rockets, having an absolutely electric and epic year, are going to shut the door. But no, of course, the Wyoming Cowboys do it to us again. But this is just a look at some of the Flames, Liberty, and Oregon. We knew that was going to be a blowout. Nobody's surprised by this. Surprised Iowa didn't score. And then I picked Bama just because I don't know why. I thought Milroe was better, but that just didn't happen. Currently, we've got Washington here. So just wanted to do a little look-see there at some of these picks. But, I mean, some notes from those days. The Pop-Tart edible trophy was phenomenal. The edible mascot. I mean, that's like if aliens were to turn on the game and turn on TV and be like, "Hey, what are the humans up to?" Boom, we're eating massive Pop-Tarts on the sideline. Arizona is gonna be a problem, by the way. That quarterback and that receiver they got, phenomenal. Fafiti or whatever his name is, dude's awesome. And I wanna see some Gators in the Gatorade bath from when Clemson won. That's what they should have done. Um, I you know, Ohio State scored 3 points. Who's I don't I Penn State needs to be banned from ranking until they beat a top 15 team. They stink. They're awful. They Every time they get put in a big game, they just all you hear about is their defense, and then they can't score. So I'm sick of it. The Big Ten as a whole kind of got bamboozled here. So they need to look in the mirror, basically. I'm gonna put up one more screen so we can get to this final point that I wanted to before we get out of here. So we can go watch the end of this game. Um, oh no. I thought we were gonna be able to get to it. I had it pulled up. Come on now, don't do that to me. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. We've been firing off tweets left and right. People are getting mad at us. We're just spitting truth, though. We're just spitting the truth. And when I say we, I mean me because I run our Twitter. I mean, I've been getting into it with everybody. Not really getting into it. Just look. I have no dog. I just hate seeing this. What college football has become. I'm going to put up this tweet here on the screen that reads, everyone thinking this was about FSU this entire time, referring to the college football playoff. It wasn't. FSU was a rallying point for everyone who is sick of the blatant disrespect to the college football season. UGA clearly had a case too, obviously, SEC fans. So we're not playing favorites here. This isn't about FSU. Stop letting ESPN use you as their army. The college football playoff stinks. What I mean by that is, look, this FSU just happened to be the tipping point of a team that was 13-0 that got left out of the college football playoff. Like, nobody here is like, oh, this was all about FSU. Like, when you're looking at it from my perspective, it was not about FSU. It was about, okay, finally one of the big boys got left out. Like, certainly people have to start listening to this. But, what you find is whenever people are fans, like fans of the SEC, fans of Georgia, fans of Alabama. And I don't know if they necessarily like look at it from outside of like, do you understand what just happened? Like, what if Georgia or Alabama got left out as an undefeated Power Five conference champion? So And so I went down and did some number diving, and I found that there were 63 undefeated national champions since 1937. So that means not every national champion has been undefeated, and 63 of them have been. Uh, so the main point here is since 1980, there's been 27 that have been undefeated. So it's like it is really hard. That tells you that not every champion is undefeated. So it's really hard to do what Florida State did or any team in that position. It could have been Syracuse. Who cares? Uh, it could have been Vanderbilt. Who cares? But the fact that you can go undefeated, which is tough to do, as evidence as those numbers since 1937, so almost 90 years since this whole thing kind of was up and running. Like there weren't even that many teams that did it to begin with, and now we've got a chance to have somebody that did it, and they got snubbed. And then I started looking at the SEC. I'm like, okay. I saw a tweet earlier from somewhere that said, and I'd seen this myself. It was like, okay, this is the first time since 2005 where a championship won't have an SEC team in it. And it's like that's some hat tip to the SEC. But then I was like, why? What? When did all? And I went back and looked like 15 years down the road. It was like from 2006 on or '05. It was SEC everywhere. Like every other championship was the SEC and SEC schools in it. And then I wanted to know like when did the TV deal? Because I remember they used to be on Raycom. And wouldn't you know, folks, the SEC ended its deal with Raycom in 2008, right? That's when they ended their deal with Raycom. That's when they started with ESPN. So you know from about probably there was probably at least 1 year to 2 years of negotiation. So say 2006. That's when everybody points to, well, look at the college football playoff, look at the national champions. It's been SEC for 20 years. And it's like, yeah, but it didn't used to be that way before. And everybody's like, well, the SEC's just gotten better. And it's like, no, they just got the ESPN on board. And ever since they started that, that's when you started to see because before 2006, it was spread out and there really weren't that many. It wasn't as dominant of the SEC as it used to be. So that deal started in 2008, and that's when all this, oh, everybody, the SEC, blah, blah, blah. The BCS started in 1998, and from 98 to '06, 4 championships had the SEC. So that's what? Half? No, 10. Yeah, 8. So half of them, which is not 15 out of 16. So, it went from 50% all the way up to like 95% every time you turn on an SEC or a national championship, SEC was in it. So it was like BCS started, and then when the college football playoff started 2014, the only matchup that didn't have the SEC schools was the very first year. So you start looking at all those numbers, and it's like they started jumping in and being in every championship when the TV deal got signed with ESPN. Boom, and that's when everything took off. So you can call me tinfoil hat guy, whatever you want to call me, but I'm just following the money and I'm following the numbers of like, okay, they have a vested interest because the SEC schools, each one of them in 2021 to 2022, got $50 million in revenue from TV deals. So I'm not sitting here like, oh, bash the SEC. I'm saying SEC fans step outside of the SEC bubble and look at what just happened. A Power Five school, regardless if their quarterback got hurt, got left out. And that is absurdity. That can't be happening, folks. Um, anyways. So that's, and then you get into the, everybody starts going on Twitter about uh, well, this team and that team and this Florida State, and it turns into a we're all of a sudden Florida State backers, and I'm like, whoa, man, like no, 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 not a Florida State backer. Wouldn't care who it was. I'm just looking at this as like, do you not see the real problem is that it has nothing the system that has been put in place has favored certain schools. They get a head start, and everybody starts listing off all their accomplishments. I'm like, it's not about what they did years ago. That helps them in recruiting. It gives them an advantage off the field, but it shouldn't give them an advantage on the field and keep other teams from being on the field with them. You can't just put everybody in a box to the side just because they have great tradition. Like, that's not the point of football. Like, you play the game. Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. So, anyways, that's my 2 cents on it. I thought the numbers were funny of when all this stuff started, SEC everything. It was immediately in line with when they left Raycom and went to ESPN, and they're making tons of money. Every school getting lots of revenue. So, again, not me waving my fist at the SEC, you know, it's wave my fist at this whole who in the world came up with this idea that we won't settle this on the field. And then everybody would be like, well, look at Liberty. And it's like, yeah, well, Liberty just came to the FBS not too long ago, and they're a young program. You keep letting them play. They keep playing well and getting these opportunities. They're just going to keep getting better, and the talent will level out. You can't just cut people off without even giving them an opportunity. Like, that's a monopoly. Like, you're gatekeepers. It's freaking Hunger Games out there. You know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, we're just gonna switch the target here, and the team that doesn't have all the money and the resources is never gonna get a shot because they can't afford it, or we're just gonna say they can't. So, anyways, um, all right. I think that's everything I had. I just wanted to complain about college football. It looks like Texas might be done, unfortunately. Well, depending on who you root for. Anyways, hey, this has been the show. I don't know if my headphones are gonna work or not. Hopefully they will. But let me stop sharing this. Anyways, follow us on Twitter at Millie Goats, Rumble, YouTube, the Millie Goats, Instagram at the Millie Goats, website, blog, www.r no, themillieghost.godaddysites.com. Apparel is at raeo.live. Subscribe to the show. Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you Wednesday night because we got more football to talk. Go Niners.